Hey everyone, what's up? So, I've been working on this game for a bit and I wanted to share how it's going. I'm Kynest and this was supposed to be my entry for the Brackies Game Jam 2024.2. Except, well, I missed the deadline. But hey, it happens, right? So I figure out why not just keep going with it and make it into something really cool. So yeah, I've always been into survival games, especially ones that throw you into these harsh, unforgiving environments and make you figure out things on your own. I wanted to create something that felt really isolating and still had that sense of exploration. What's out there and how do I stay alive long enough to find out? This game actually started off in a completely different place. Originally it was set in an ocean flooded city where you'd have to go underwater to find resources to stay above the rising flood levels. Yeah, that was the plan, but as I was building the ocean floor, something just clicked for me. Then I thought, what if I completely flipped the idea and made it a dry desert? And that's how this all started. Alright, so what this game is about, basically you're stuck in this huge empty desert. There are ruins everywhere, old settlements, broken walls, just desolation. But there's stuff here that you need to survive, like rocks, scrap metal, these weird alien plants, that sort of thing. When I ended day 1, I already had a basic desert environment going, plus one basic ruin model. The storm visuals and some core systems in place, like the player stats, hunger, thirst, health, and a text-based inventory, and the dynamic footstep sounds depending on what surface you're walking on. Then I thought, okay, I needed a better way to interact with the world, so I added this radial menu for eating and drinking. It's simple, but does the job for now. The goal is to give the player easy access to essential stuff without having to dig through a clunky inventory system. One thing I really wanted was to make the environment feel dynamic. So I added the skybox with clouds that rotate and change depending on the weather. When a storm rolls in, the skybox fades to this orange, eerie looking sky. And the storm isn't just for looks, it actually does damage if you're out in it for too long. That's where the dome comes in. There's this dome you can take shelter in, but it starts off pretty busted, so you gotta repair it using rocks and scraps you find. And that's another thing I added, harvestable resources. You can break rocks and scrap piles to collect materials. It's all about scavenging to stay alive. There's even a well where you can get water, but it can dry up if you overuse it. At some point I decided the game needs a stronger intro, so I added the shuttle cutscene. You crash land in the desert and the shuttle becomes your initial shelter from the storm. After that, I expanded the desert because the original map was way too small. I also added larger, more detailed ruins to give the world some depth. The shuttle you crash in, now that's your shelter when the storm hits. One of the things I'm really happy with is the plants. I didn't want them to look like something straight off Earth, so I went for this cactus-like design but with branches that bend down and these red fruits growing on them. They're not just for decoration though. You can harvest the fruits and eat them, also harvest the plant itself for plant matter, which comes in handy for survival. And to keep things from feeling too static, I added a noise texture to spawn the resources randomly around the world. Anyway, let me leave you with some gameplay footage and I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.
Warning, high velocity winds imminent.